Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
I am literally struggling to get my breath here. Absolute noise going on in our house, annoyingly for the dogs and the missus, but what a fucking win that was. Saw everything today, controlled the game wonderfully. Little bit of a question around our final third and creating those opportunities, but Rashford at the end steps up, gets that winner, and I am absolutely over the moon, and I hope all of you are. It's going to make our weekends fantastic if it wasn't already. And get your comments in, get some questions in. We'd love to read them out. For those of you that are on Facebook, come over to youtube.com/All for United, and we want to be able to debate your comments. Guys, how are you feeling? Hammer, tell me, mate.
Hey, man, I told you guys that before we came on. When it went in, I stood up and I was just frozen for a second. I was waiting for something. But, yeah, man, that was a hell of a finish. You know, like you said, the game, I think that was one of the better games we have played for a long time. And, you know, like some of us were talking about, we got the clean sheet, goal at the end. Yes, I think everybody can say, of course, you know, we wanted a little more clinical up front. But, damn, with the attack that we have, it's not going to be like that in most cases. So if we can build up like that in the rest of the games going forward, we're definitely going to be more clinical up front. And I'm happy for Rashford. That's 2 goals in back-to-back games, right? He's been struggling for a while. And then, yeah, man, that was a hell of a way to end the game. A little bit of Fergie time. The freaking place went off. The roof got blown off the stadium right at the end. That was a great way to start. For me, that was a great way to start the weekend.
Yeah, it's morning for you, isn't it? Happy morning to you, and what a great way to start your Saturday morning. Yeah, I mean, lots of positives today, wasn't there, Marcus? We really controlled that game, and someone put in our group chat, this is what it feels like to control a game from start to finish, and it was that. Yes, it was 1-0. Yes, we got it in the last grasp, but it was great control from our players, and it was really wonderful to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was excellent. And I think when you watch some of the better teams in the league, when you watch Man City, when you watch Liverpool, even Chelsea to a certain extent, I know they've kind of fallen off now. One thing they all have in common is that even if they go 1-0 up, or even if the game is poised at 0-0, they have control, right? There's moments where you feel like, as a Liverpool fan, as a Chelsea fan, even as a Man City fan, you never really feel like, oh my God, are we going to get the 3 points? Because you can feel that your team is in control. And that's one thing United haven't had for a long time. Even when we are playing well, the game tends to be very open. You know, it tends to be very back and forth. And I think today, one of the better things, especially in that first half, was the fact that West Ham were pinned in their half. Yes, it was a little bit frustrating because it looked like they were playing a bit of a low block and we couldn't break it down. But that's to be expected in the Premier League. That's to be expected. I mean, Man City is probably the best example because they're the best team in the league. You watch them play against the smaller teams, and that happens quite a lot, where they're just kind of penned up in their halves and nothing's really happening. I think the only criticism I would have today is probably maybe Greenwood and Elanga not being quite as proficient as we would have wanted them to. But otherwise, it was a fantastic game, man. Even Maguire was good, I think he came on in a very difficult and unusual circumstances, considering the fact that Victor Lindelof obviously was unable to play. Obviously, Phil Jones is not really someone who's reliable long-term, and he's been coming under a lot of criticism. So for him to come in when we needed the 3 points, when we needed to get back into a top 4 race, when we needed to keep the momentum going, and he hasn't really been the best player this season, for him to put in a performance like that, I think was very great, So all around, fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic. And we kept the clean sheet. So, we kept a clean sheet. Finally, Manchester United have kept a clean sheet and won a game of football. I can't believe I'm saying that. So, I'm gassed.
I can't believe you're saying that either, to be honest. Yeah, it's been weeks and weeks and weeks. I know I had a midweek win, but I've now got 2 on the bounce, and I'm incredibly pleased with that. John Commode with a comment here. Bloody hell, we needed that. Is that a smile from Mark IC? Absolutely. 2 in a row for you, pal. Well played, Rashford. 2 and 2 for him. Yeah, and lots of criticism on Rashford recently, and rightly so. Obviously, there's been, something ongoing behind the scenes, whatever that might be, but that is 2 goals in 2 for him, and it's really, really great to see. Lots of positives today. You kind of alluded to that, Marcus, that, you know, everyone had their role to play today, and everyone really stepped up. There was a lot of togetherness there, and Jones come on for Varane and played very well. Harry Maguire, we haven't seen him in a few games now, played very well. Martial came on, I think, actually changed the game for me. I think his link-up play was excellent, and that's the Martial that we need to see more often. Obviously, we'll see how long that obviously holds out for. Stuart, great to see you in the comments, mate. It's been a while. I know we saw you the other week, but obviously you're coming back more and more, and it's great to see. Yes, lads, just dropping in for a mo. This is why we love United, absolutely. Never mind any average performances for tonight. Let's enjoy this one, and that's what it's all about. Two players, good to see you, Neil. Two players who have been hammered as much as any, contributed one, scored one, helped a clean sheet. Maguire is better than good. He was excellent today, actually. I think that he was very good. I mean, in that first half, you saw on a couple of occasions him really reading the game well. He made a couple of interceptions, and that's what you want to see. So excellent stuff. Fred in the comments, evening chaps, such an important win. Hopefully confidence levels are sky high. Bloody hell, I can't even get my words out today. Sky high after that, absolutely. Up Ralph's gegenpressing tricky Reds, and that's exactly what we saw today. Jeff, wonderful to have you back on, buddy. I know it's morning for you. We've got an array of people in all different time zones today, and it's good to see. But I hope you're well, buddy. Tell me how you feel after that.
I've had to hold a lot in because everybody's sleeping and been watching the big screen, and everyone's quarantined, so they had to get rest. But it's the middle of the weekend for me, and it's just what I needed. Basically, it's a mood raiser. One thing I'm gonna point out is we almost scored from a corner, so that's a good thing, though, right? So I guess Ralph's getting through to some of the lads that's been playing. Rashford and Maguire needed that break coming off the bench. I think that's genius because, as I've mentioned from way back, like Rashford's been overused, and I guess Maguire had that long hangover from the Euros and didn't really get up to speed right from the season. So it's good to see them recover, and even Martial, you know, with all the flack that he's getting, he was even booed, right, if I'm not mistaken, when he came on. So that link up with him, then Cavani, and then Cavani finding Rashford, that was classic Fergie time. So I wouldn't mind these kinds of games. We've had controlling games way back during LVG, but those are boring control games. So right now, I'd rather take this than an open game because, you know, it's a sure win, and clean sheet is always a good one to see, right? So good one on the team today, and good one for all of you.
Absolutely. Bruno was, we were talking about him on the last reaction, and Bruno's been excellent in the last 3 or 4 games. And he was all over the pitch today, made an absolute nuisance of himself, and he really is thriving from that deeper role. Ellis, good to have you on again, buddy. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I'll be surprised if you didn't. But first of all, how are you? And give me your thoughts at the end of that one.
Yeah, I'm not bad. I got COVID last week, and so I'm just coming to the end of my isolation. So it's been pretty boring, but you know, we get through it. I've been fine. I was having heart palpitations, to be honest, because I thought he was offside. And then all the commentators are like, "Oh, it could be a tight one," and I'm there like, "Don't do this to me." I was like, "Please do not do this to me." But obviously, it counts. I thought the performance was top. You mentioned Fernandes then sitting a little bit deeper in that sort of 8 position rather than the 10. I think it works. He can break lines. We know he can, and that was something that he used today. I thought Rashford, when he came on, was fantastic. I thought his energy levels, his desire, which obviously he lacked. I think it was Villa in the FA Cup when he went to go for the ball and just completely left it. He looked more desire. He looked like he wanted it more. Full of tenacity, and 3 points, and we're in the top 4. Happy days.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Good points, well made. And just some stats for you, Hammer, and I come to you about this, buddy. So Harry Maguire's game by numbers versus West Ham today. 100% tackles won, 66 passes completed, 9 long passes attempted, 6 long passes completed, 5 aerial duels won. That's something we've been missing from the last few games. We know that he's great in the air. 5 ball recoveries, 4 clearances, 1 interception. What a phenomenal game from him.
Hey, look, I will always come back to it. I'm definitely somebody who is a critic of Harry Maguire. but damn, he played really well today. He was confident. He didn't look nervous. He didn't look, he wasn't sitting on the ball all that time. All the things that everybody really hates seeing him do that gets him into trouble, he was staying away from. And like you just heard Mark say with those stats, his overall game, the tackles, the passes, it was really impressive. Um, I'm not going to go over the moon because I'm still a critic of Harry Maguire. So I will say that if he can play like that alongside Maguire, then I'm not really worried about the center back issue. But if he goes back in the next couple of games to his mistakes and shit like that, then we'll go back to having it. But look, I never said he was a bad player. I always said at his very best, he's a 1B, and that was a very good 1B next to a 1A in Rafael Varane tonight. So that was pretty impressive today.
Yeah, he was very impressive today. Just to come to a few of the comments. Neil, he should be booed. He didn't want to play. Bet he picked his wages up that week. I think that might be on Martial. Not quite sure. Evening, lads. Good to see you back, Jarvis. What a win, still buzzing. Kieran Newbury, I haven't seen you in the comments. Welcome to our stream. Great finish to the game, but I still feel we should be beating this West Ham team. They are very average most weeks. I guess we can be too. Marcus, do you agree with that? I feel like they're a very strong team at the moment. They're playing some excellent football under Moyes. Difficult to break down. And I think it's a great result for us to get.
Yeah, it certainly is a great result. There's no doubting that. Like whichever version of West Ham you play against, at the end of the day, they were in the top four and we're trying to get into the top four. So beating the team in fourth place is always a good thing. I think that goes without saying. I don't think anybody can discredit us. But with that said, West Ham are very much a hit and miss team this season. They are, they're not a team that you can consider serious top four contenders before the season. And I think that was in part because of the spell they went on at the beginning of the season. Since then, it's kind of dried up. And I don't think they've been playing as well, which is expected. So coming into this game, I knew it was going to be a difficult game, but I also predicted that we would win in my preview because I personally just felt like they're going to run out of steam. They don't have the squad depth nor the quality to keep it going until the end of the season. And I'm glad we were able to take advantage of it. And also will say, by the way, West Ham weren't bad today. They were not bad today. Yes, going forward, they didn't create much threats. They struggled to break us down in part because of how well Maguire and Varane played together as a partnership, but also because I just think they were very respectful of us and they very much sat deep and made it very difficult for us to score. I think they were trying to get a draw because the onus isn't on them to chase top four. So it's understandable that if they go away to Old Trafford, that they're going to play the way they did. So, it is what it is at the end of the day, but I think it's a good result. I really think it's a good result. So, that's all I've got to say on that.
Excellent stuff. Just to give you a nice little stat on Marcus Rashford here. Marcus Rashford has scored a 90th minute winning goal for the fourth time in the Premier League, at least twice as many as any other Manchester United player. In fact, no player has ever scored more such winners in the competition's history. What a stat that is. Jeff, do you want to elaborate on that? I mean, he was fantastic. That winner was fantastic today, but what a stat that is. You're on mute, mate.
There we go. All right. So I guess it helped that he came off the bench. I mean, he's been overplayed before, and then when he got injured, he had a purple patch and then a rough patch. And now I think it's surprisingly he scored from the right side, and we know that how the energy.
We know him from his best on the left, don't we?
Yeah, and his energy levels tend to drop off when he's on the right side, so that was surprising. And I think Rashford's got that killer instinct, but not just as a striker. He's really a winger, and he needs to be part of that build-up play. He's not the one that's going through the middle. But yeah, I mean, he's always in the right place in the right time for the winner. I hope he's getting pointers for Ronaldo for that. So more winners from him, but not too much because it's not good for the heart.
Absolutely. And just to come up with another stat here, Statman Biggs today, you can call me. Ellis, Diogo Dalot. We've had a lot of conversations about Diogo recently. He's obviously stepped up. Going to be very difficult for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. A couple of points today where his decision making wasn't the best, but he looked pretty good today. And just to give you a stat here, Diogo Dalot won 3 out of 4 tackles in the first half versus West Ham, the most out of any player on the pitch. Continues to develop his defensive side of the game, and obviously defensively we've questioned him at time, but he looked very, very good today and solid, didn't he?
Yeah, I've always been a huge fan of Dalot, especially since he's come in under Rangnick. I've always been on this channel being talking, giving praise to Dalot. I think he's our best option at right back. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka is better than him defensively, well, 1v1 anyway. But I certainly think Dalot today was up there with one of the best players on the pitch. There were certain moments where in the second half where he got the ball and sent it into Rose out of the Stretford end, I'm just like, what are you doing? But other than that, he just seemed astute when he was going forward. I thought he was good. I thought his link up play with whoever was on that with Greenwood was fantastic. The way he could unlock, he's got a passing range which Wan-Bissaka doesn't, and you can see that when we go forward, we look more fluid. Look like we've got a plan when we go forward with Dalot rather than Wan-Bissaka. So yeah, I thought Dalot was good today, and I think he's been quite good for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I can make a quick comment too. I just on
Go
Dalot, I think everyone knows he has the better offense, but I just want to double down on what you guys are saying too. He on the defensive end, I felt like it was one of his better defensive games than he usually has, and if he can bring that type of, he was making some good tackles, he was getting back on defense, he was pressuring people and all that type of stuff. So if he can bring that and continue the attack ability that we know that he has, he can definitely take that spot from Wan-Bissaka permanently.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sorry, go on.
I'd like to put in a comment on Dalot as well. Yeah, been in the chat earlier that his decision making has been spotty, but we wouldn't be in that situation if Wan-Bissaka was there. I mean, he wouldn't have that offensive opportunities, like putting in the cross or even taking that shot toward the end, right? AWB doesn't have that in his arsenal. So the fact that Diogo can do that confidently, and we know that he can do that, that's a much better option, and I think that's the best option that we have, unless Laird comes in and stays healthy. So yeah,
absolutely. We've spoken a few times about obviously a defensive midfielder, Declan Rice. Yeah, as someone alluded to earlier, West Ham weren't poor today. They actually were okay. They just didn't look too positive when getting into the final third. A bit like us, really. We took obviously our opportunity and had quite a few more shots than they did. But Declan Rice had a great first half at least. 100% tackles won, 100% successful dribbles, 97% pass accuracy, 2 ball recoveries and 2 interceptions. We've been linked with him obviously a few times. I personally don't feel that he's necessarily the man to take us forward and to fill that role. But Hammer, were you impressed with Declan Rice today, and do you think he could be an option obviously for us?
Okay, so I've been thinking about this whole that defensive midfielder role that everyone's been wanting about. So I'm kind of happy that you came to me with this. I thought he was good today. He's not like, I don't think he's as great as some people think he is. He's a very good player, but today he played well. I think he covered well in certain times, because there was times when he was, coming in and picking off passes in like the middle of their box on the defensive end. And I was like, what the like, you're supposed to be about 10, 15 yards further upfield. What are you doing in the middle of the box? So he's good on the defensive side, and he was doing some good stuff going forward. I wouldn't mind him, not for the price that West Ham wants. So if they don't decide to go down on that, they can fuck off and go try to get that somewhere else. But this is my thing that I've been thinking about that position. I kind of want to ask you guys too. Sorry to ask, try to change the question a little bit, Mark. But one of the things I wanted to ask and also see on the comments is, like, would you guys take a specialist number 6 who might not be great in terms of dribbling, might not be great in terms of scoring goals, things like that, but he's great at defending. He can do the things that we need to do, the short passes to keep the ball and advance it to people like Bruno and whoever else is in the midfield there, and can play a long pass. But that's about it. Would you take that as an average to slightly above average player, but be a specialist 6, and then the rest of the midfield can advance and play well? Or do you guys want that, like for example, do you want that in DD? Do you want that, type of Conte player? Or would you settle for, the best example I could think of would be a United example, would be a Carrick, right? Not a freaking, top class world beater, destroy everything in the midfield, but knows how to control the game, covers the defense well, plays the passes we need to play, and keeps the ball.
Good question. Who wants in first?
I mean, for me, I think it's all about context, really, because I think every signing comes with trade-offs. For example, if we were to sign someone like a Declan Rice, who everybody thinks is a world beater, we're probably not going to sign another midfielder because we spent 70, 80 million pounds on that player. If we are going to downgrade and get a specialist CDM who isn't that great, for me, I'll take it because then we can address other areas in the team and have a good window overall. I think the biggest problem with Manchester United over the last few years is we've spent a bucket load of money on one player, and then it's kind of cost us and prevented us from plugging holes in the rest of the team. And I think when you look at that midfield, Pogba might be leaving, Donny might be leaving, right? Bruno Fernandes, we know that he has limitations in terms of being a whole number 10. So for me, we need more than one midfielder. We don't just need a DM in the summer. So yeah, I would definitely take that. And I think that if you put that CDM, whoever it is, next to a player who can play box to box, you've solved the problem because then they complement each other. He doesn't have to be the guy to play the crazy passes going forward. He can just give it to someone else,
Yeah.
So that's my perspective on it.
I absolutely agree with you. We still need a couple. It would be nice to get in number 6, Destroyer. But we that was a real positive today, actually. I felt like we had a lot of freedom since we've moved to the 4-3-3. They seem to be filling their roles quite well, even though we don't have that defensive-minded number 6. There's a lot of, obviously, cohesion between those two midfielders in Fred and McTominay today, especially where they were able to cover that relatively well. Just looking at the table very quickly, obviously we've got a game in hand over West Ham now, which is excellent. Still a bit of a worry, obviously Spurs there, 19 games. They've got 3 games in hand on us and only 2 points behind. But Jeff, we look in a far better position now. That's immediately a nice positive to see today, isn't it? And we really needed this win. This was a big game for us today, and we got that. And it's looking a lot prettier sitting in 4th, doesn't it?
It does in terms of form as well. It's getting better, and I think Ralph's getting through to the lads. I hope that's why Elanga's inside in the starting 11 because he listens. He does what Ralph's asking him to do, and he's been effective. And hopefully the veterans follow suit because, especially I guess Marshall is trying to up his value so that he can play somewhere else. But yeah, it's good to see that the form's picking up. We're sitting at 4th. Hopefully it's something that's not a one-off. And by the end of the season, I hope we get some. Number 2, number 3, number 2 is too high, I guess. But some sort of silverware, I guess, like FA Cup or even I don't know, Champions League is out of the question, but yeah.
Or
so
is
far,
it?
so good right
Or
now.
is it?
Here we go again.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I saw as being a big positive today, and I think made a huge difference to our game, was that our fullbacks from Dalot were very high up the field. It really pushed West Ham back. They weren't able to get out quickly. They weren't able to make that counter-attack, which was probably going to be part of their play today. But it was really good to see them so high up the pitch. Do you think that that's what worked well today, Ellis? We seem to be playing a very high line, didn't allow West Ham to play, especially in the middle of the park, and obviously Antonio didn't really get a sniff in, who was a danger man. I think all four of their front 4 are danger men that can sort of intertwine very, very well, but we didn't allow them to today, did we?
No, I think it comes back to the key word that Rangnick talked about when he came in, control, and I think we had control of the game. I think having your fullback so high not only offers you a good attacking output. We see that with a good team in Liverpool. Nearly said great and nearly complimented them lot. But obviously, when you have your fullback so high, your attacking output's better. You're going to get more crosses in. That means more chances. So obviously, you're going to benefit the team that way. And also defensively, I think the positioning was good from both of them. So it didn't really allow Bowen, it didn't really allow Fornals to get on the ball and dictate. Every single time they got on him, either Tellez or Dalot was there. Because you even said it, I think the commentator mentioned it, Dalot was coming more central in a kind of a Cancelo sort of type role that we've seen from City throughout the season, which has been so effective for them. And you could kind of see that he was getting on the ball a bit more. So I have nothing really bad to say about the positioning, especially with our fullbacks today.
I thought another good player today, Fred. he seems to be very rejuvenated under Ralph. Had a couple of games out recently. Marcus, I'll come to you about this one. Yeah, he's looked fantastic. Really playing that kind of box to box Rome number 8 much better than obviously sitting back. But do you think that that's what's improved him? He's been allowed to sort of be a bit more of a free flowing player in the middle of the park that's not just sitting back all the time.
Yeah, I think Fred has been excellent when it comes to that. I think he's been really, really good. And what I liked about him today is that unlike Scott McTominay, he seemed to drop into the right pockets of space and make himself available. So when Varane and Maguire weren't really sure what to do with the ball, Fred or Bruno was always there. And I wish that's something that McTominay would learn from Fred. I know that he can't get about the pitch as much as Fred, but there are moments where he seems to almost, I don't want to use the word hide because it implies that he's doing it on purpose, but, for lack of a better word, he likes to hide behind the other players instead of actually coming deep and saying, hey, give me the ball. I've got this. You guys just focus on defending. I'll play it forward. And I think Fred is very good at that when he's, playing well, and his distribution can be very good. But again, we know his technical limitations, so it can be inconsistent. And my only worry with Fred is I don't want to gas him up too much because I already know a bad performance is coming, and a bad performance can easily turn into a bad string of performances. And then suddenly we're sat here going, Fred has been awful for the last 2 months, and I don't want that to happen. So kind of patient with Fred. I don't want to praise him too much. I just want to wait and see if this continues. But he was great today. I thought he was great. And I was surprised when he came off, but I understood why, because we were trying to go for the game and try to get the 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to bring that up next. You've moved me on quite nicely, Marcus. Thank you. But a couple of weeks ago, we were a little bit frustrated, I think, with Ralph's decision making. Maybe left it a little bit late to bring on certain players, particularly against Villa. We didn't sort of shut up shop. But then he made that change midweek against Brentford. And again today, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. Fred was taken off at the right time. And it seemed to sort of really keep it solid. We went to a 4-2-4, had an array, obviously, of incredible talent up front. And that's what got us the goal in the end. But were you appreciative of his decisions today, Jeff? I think he was far better at that. Or at least we shouldn't really criticise him. Listen, this guy is an absolute philosopher, a genius, has done the right things in different leagues and has been fantastic. And it's just good to see that he's making those decisions at the right time.
Yeah, I think the difference from this time from the time of Oli is that you see that he's learning the English game. He's learning the nuances. He's learning the timing. He's not as stubborn as Oli was. So to see that, okay, I made a mistake in the Villa game, so he made those adjustments during the Brentford game, and that's good to see. And now you see, okay, he's also willing to just go all out, because not just being a conservative change, but also like a 4-2-4. Like Oli tried the 4-2-4, and you know what happened back then. But it's good to see that our managers listening also to what's happening to the players, to his coaches. I'm not sure with the fans, but at least there's a learning curve that he's going through, and that's a good sign. Whether he's gonna be kicked upstairs for the next season or he's staying down the field, so far so good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. I was trying to live tweet, trying to do a million things at once. It's an absolute nightmare. Yeah, good points, well made, matey. Thank you. And yeah, it was just honestly, it's very difficult to get carried away with these things, but I feel like I need to today. We just, from start to finish, did not see too much going wrong at all. And even midweek, even against Villa, we were giving the ball away. We were always second to the second ball, and that just didn't happen today. Bruno not misplacing passes, even though we kind of expected from him on occasions. But it was just, I'm just absolutely elated, and I'm looking forward to the first time in weeks watching Match of the Day and rewatching the whole thing again. Ellis, was there any other player in particular that impressed you today?
I thought everyone kind of chipped in their own little bit. I'd say another mention to Alanga. I think Alanga was good again. Yeah,
we didn't get an Alanga banger today, did we? But he was good.
We didn't. We all know that he brings energy, and he's clearly got his reward from Rangnick from working hard in training and showing quite a lot of diligence and determination in improving his game. And I thought he was good today again. He's a little bit you could say he's more like a little bit like Greenwood, quite a little bit greedy maybe in the final third a little bit. However, the intent's there and he picks up the ball in good positions. He's dangerous. So yeah, I'd probably say Elanga as well. I think Elanga's been quality since he's come in, and he's clearly given the performances to reward himself with positions in the starting 11. So long may that continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to come on to Greenwood in a moment. Actually, I had a few conversations with people. There was 2 opportunities in the first half where actually I think Greenwood probably made the right decision. He could have passed to Ronaldo, but he had 2 players in between him, and then on the other time he won a corner. So whilst we've obviously spoken about his selfishness recently, I think on those occasions you can give him the benefit of the doubt. Hammer, do you agree with what Neil's saying here? I'm yet to be convinced by Ralph Rangnick. One swallow does not make a summer.
Okay. I don't really know. I don't want to comment on that second one. I don't really know what he means there. That sounds a little sus. But in terms of Ralph, I can get what Neil's saying because it's been a short, it's not been a long time, and he might not be here. He might, like, I think Jeff said he might end up getting kicked upstairs at the end of the season. I think I'm becoming more convinced. Am I 100% convinced? No, but like we've talked about, I think, like you guys said, right, it looks like he's starting to pick up the Premier League. It looks like he's starting to learn. It looks like he's starting to get the timing. He's making those subs when they need to be made, as we've seen in the last couple of games. And what I will say in terms of the progress in the last couple of weeks is it is starting to slowly look like he's getting to the players. Like they're starting to buy into what he wants to do, starting to understand how he wants them to press, starting to understand how he wants them to attack. And also maybe they're starting to get the conditioning that he wants because, I feel like even coming down to the end, we were still pressing and we were able to go on that counter, and it turned into such a great goal with all the connections of the guys who go off in the attack. Okay, Neil, thank you for the explanation there because I didn't know what you were trying to say. Yeah, man, I get what Neil's saying about not fully being convinced yet, but I think he's going on the right path, and that the team is starting to really build in and take shape into what he wants to see. If we can get a goddamn midfielder in the next few days, last week of the transfer market for January would be great, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Jarvis with a good comment here. Varane and Maguire put Antonio in their pockets. Dalot and Tellers stopped Kufal and Creswell. I thought they were great today, actually, all 4 of the back line. Whoever was on the pitch at the time. Bowen was the only player who created any trouble, and that's absolutely right. I think Bowen is obviously quite a problem player at the moment, and we did kind of somewhat stifle him, but we certainly stifled Antonio, and I think they're the 2 danger men, quite honestly, and I think we did that incredibly well. Martial, very quickly, we did touch upon him earlier. Martial looked sharp when he came on, and I wonder if that is possibly him staying till at least the summer. I don't think it's going to be, a decision is going to be made based on one performance. But if you've watched our streams before, both Stu and I have said that and I think Marcus too, that Martial would be a very, very good partner in that 4-2-2 position formation. But is fantastic with link-up play, and I thought he was excellent today. And I hope we see a bit more of that. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? You got an array of incredible talent. How can you keep them all happy? But I thought his performance today was excellent. Fred here, imagine if we had a good defensive mid with Pogba and Bruno playing as 8s. Looks good on paper, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, been wanting that for years.
Yeah, well, this is it. We've spoken about this the last couple of years, but lots of people have been saying about a DM to unlock Pogba and for bloody a long time. But yeah, just on talking on Greenwood, actually, I thought he was far better today, Marcus, and he looked a little bit more hungry, less selfish. But do you think his overall game was better than what we've seen more recently?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm a bit on the fence about Greenwood today because I don't really see too much of an improvement. Yes, he had his bright moments. We know what Greenwood is capable of. I mean, he did the little turn in the middle of the pitch there where I think he had a chance to pass it on to Ronaldo and he just messed up the final ball. So he definitely is a bright player. But my thing and my stance on Greenwood is this. I think if we are going to get the best out of Mason Greenwood, we need to start playing him in the number 9 position. And it's almost impossible to do that when you've got Cavani and Ronaldo, which is why I had such a huge problem with those signings. Not so much Ronaldo, because the nostalgia and everything, you can't really criticize that signing. But I had an issue when we signed Cavani, and I had an issue when we signed Ronaldo the very next summer, because I feel like those two aren't going to be here for long, and we should be prioritizing the long-term development of someone like a Mason Greenwood, because I genuinely believe he's a generational talent. And if we don't develop him and we don't actually nurture him into the type of player we want him to be, and we don't start now, we're going to have issues down the line, because there's moments where he looks almost Rashford-esque, right? Like where he cuts in and he decides to take a shot, and you're thinking to yourself, bro, like, why didn't you pass? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And that's really frustrating.
It's
so
easy
he has
in
his
hindsight,
moments,
isn't it? It's easy in hindsight for us to go, oh, you should have
yeah.
passed it. But at that point in time, it's very difficult to make that split-second decision, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. And that's exactly why he should be playing as a 9, man. I think Greenwood out on the wing is really ruining him, because not only is he focusing on his development as a finisher and, focusing on his strengths, but now he's having to juggle all of these responsibilities. 1 week he's playing on the left, 1 week he's playing on the right, 1 week he's playing in this weird wide position in a 4-2-2 and not quite as a winger, but also having to juggle like midfield responsibilities. And I think that's going to mess with him, because I don't think he's a very versatile player in that sense. I think he very much just wants to get the ball at his feet and run at the defense and try shoot and try and make something happen. And that's all I've got to say on Greenwood. I thought Elanga, again today, was good, especially defensively, like tracking back. He's excellent.
I don't think people earlier, actually.
give him enough credit.
Someone made a comment, actually, and I think he is far better at tracking back than Greenwood. I can't remember who said that comment, but it was a really good point.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, carry on, Marcus. Exactly that.
Yeah. I wanted to say earlier when we were praising Dalot and Telles and Maguire and Varane, the difference today versus the difference in other games when Telles and Dalot were kind of exposed is we defended better as a team. If you don't defend better as a team, you don't have someone like Elanga who's actually tracking back. They don't have to make a last-ditch tackle. They don't have to be excellent one-on-one, but they just have to be there. They just have to be a deterrent. They just need to cut off the passing angles. And suddenly, Telles and Dalot don't look that bad defensively, because we've got more men back and we've got the rest of the team working harder. So I feel like that was a huge factor. And Elanga deserves a lot of credit. Yes, going forward, he was a bit selfish. Yes, the final product isn't quite there. But I think when you consider how young he is, the fact that he doesn't have that much Premier League experience, and the fact that he's coming in to take over from Marcus Rashford, who before Elanga came in was seen as an important player, you've got to give him credit, man. You've got to give him credit. Most young players, I think, would suffocate under the pressure. And I'm really impressed with Anthony Elanga, even though some people want to go, oh, people are just overhyping him. No, we're not overhyping him, man. He's a young player and he's doing very well. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
What I want to say real quick, just off of Marcus with Elanga, is also like Rangnick, Ralph. I'm going to say Ralph. I don't know why I just tried to say his last name. Ralph, has a history of finding these young players, right? Like people talked about it when he was coming in. He has this whole list of players that he found for when they were young, bought them for cheap, and they sold for all this money. Now they're some of the better players and some of the better teams. He's the one who told, I think it was one of the press conferences. I didn't listen to it, but I saw the people, like the transcript and stuff. And he said when he saw what Elanga was doing in training, he looked at me and was like, yeah, you're not going out alone. You're staying. So that's another reason why I'm I'll take the overhype on Elanga, just because of Ralph's history of being able to spot young talent. And if Ralph pulled him out of going off on a loan to stay, you're staying, I think that says something.
Yeah. Look, I think people, especially on Twitter, because it's such a toxic platform, right? Like it's almost illegal to praise a player now, because if you praise a player, it's almost like you're saying they're the best thing since sliced bread without actually saying it. And some people will take it the wrong way. But I 100% agree with you. Like, it's okay to praise Elanga, man. It's okay to give him his flowers, and I think we have to stop, worrying about what people think. If you think someone had a good game, say they had a good game, man. It doesn't mean you have the positive agenda towards them or anything like that. And I think Elanga's been fantastic, man. And he's still a young player. I think people forget that as well. Like, we're not judging him the same as Greenwood. If Rashford put in the performance that Elanga put in, I wouldn't be as excited. I would be like, good, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, it's
that's what I want to see from you.
It?
Yeah, but the fact that it's a player who's come in, and me personally, I don't know about you guys on the panel, but I don't know much about Elanga, right? Like, I've never really seen him and been that excited by him before this point. So I'm pleasantly surprised. Me seeing him now, I'm like, damn, I wish I hopped on this hype train a little bit sooner,
All I know is that he scores bangers. But that's enough said there. Rangnick has just come out and said, "I'm very pleased with the 3 subs. Subs prepared the goal and scored the goal. All were involved. That makes it even more important. I would love to have had those 2 points from Villa Park, but with 17 points now, we are pleased." And I think he means 17 points so far since he's come in. But actually, whilst we haven't played brilliantly, we've been beaten once, haven't we? And he's not done too bad. I mean, under the circumstances, considering Carrington, considering he didn't have much time to train at points and whatever else, I think actually he's done a great job. And at least he's been able to build up some momentum, gain some points and wins in those places. And now, hopefully, fingers crossed, going next, and when we come back in a couple of weeks, it will be even more improved. So I'm really, really pleased with that. Jeff, are you obviously I think this win's come at a great time. We've got 2 weeks out now, but do you think that this 2-week period of internationals is probably a blessing for us, and it gives Ralph a little bit more time with the players?
If no one goes out, then just like what Fergie used to do, like no one goes to internationals as much as he can, right? So. It's good and bad. Good, we get to rest. He gets to push more on his philosophies and whatnot. Bad because we're kind of riding some form of momentum. Hopefully that doesn't fizzle out when we go back in 2 weeks, and hopefully they make it productive during this break, and hopefully I don't know. I'm sorry, it's 1:30 a.m. and a lot is running in my mind. And
don't you dare apologise. I can't believe you're with us at 1:30 a.m. Thank you, mate.
So yeah, I hope it does good in terms of the rest and the instructions, but it doesn't affect our momentum. And yeah, it's pleasantly surprising as well that City's down to Southampton after 8 minutes. So.
Excellent stuff. And just some more comments coming out on Rashford. Ellis, coming to you on this one. Rangnick on Rashford. He is one of the top strikers in England. He has what every modern striker needs: speed, skills. Getting my words awfully wrong, so I'm so sorry. Those 2 goals have raised the level of confidence within Marcus. Now it's about showing it on a regular basis. He can play a very important role, and I think he's spot on there. I think we were all elated last week in the middle of the week when he got that goal. He's got another one today, and that's the kind of thing that you need every so often to pick up that momentum and form, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just about being consistent now. I think everyone here, and I think every Manchester United fan knows Rashford's got bags of ability and bags of talent. It's just his end product and whether he can apply it. We know he works really hard in training. We know he does all these sort of different things. It's all about consistency with Rashford. He's been a little bit inconsistent. His end product's not really been there. We all thought he was going to come back and turn into some goal machine after his injury. He's kind of not hit those heights that many Manchester United fans sort of kind of thought he was going to hit, but he's not. But I feel like these goals are going to be such a good thing for his confidence. You've seen how much it meant to him when he scored today, and obviously when he scored Wednesday. He needs to take these 2 goals that he scored, build on it, and hopefully go forward. Because if you get a fit and firing Marcus Rashford, who's in form and making good runs, then goals are just going to come naturally to him because he's a natural finisher. So.
Absolutely, great points, well made. Just a couple of other comments from Rangnick. Stoppage time is part of the time you were playing. To say I was convinced we would score is unrealistic, but we took all the risks in the world to win. And then he goes on to say, I can only say thank you to the Red Army for the way they pushed us. There was a lot of emphasis by the crowd today. It was incredibly loud. I've been sent some videos of some of the guys that went there, and by all accounts, after the game was absolutely the atmosphere was ridiculous, which is great to hear. That was by far the best atmosphere in the stadium. I don't doubt that. I would have loved to have been there for that last-minute winner. To be fair, I've been to a couple of games this season, and I saw a couple of last-minute winners, and it was absolutely electric. And I'm jealous of the fans that were able to go today. Marcus, just one final comment, mate. I'm going to read a couple more in the from the viewers in a moment. We're going to wrap up in a minute. Lots of you watching on Facebook and Twitter. Get over to youtube.com/allforunited. We'd love to read out your comments and get some sort of debate and talk about them. But his last comment here that I've got, Marcus, defensively, our best performance of the last 8 weeks. Our counter-pressing, trying to win the balls back, physicality was outstanding. Do you think that's a fair assessment today?
It is a fair assessment. It is a fair assessment. And a comment that I saw earlier, I think, ties very nicely into this. The person who said they were skeptical about Ralf Rangnick. I'm not here to tell anyone, that Ralf Rangnick is this great manager and that we should give him the job in the summer. No, I don't believe that. And I'm not trying to overhype him for one bit, but I will say that, success is about improving in increments. And what we've seen from Ralf Rangnick since he's arrived is every week we've been able to learn at least one new thing about this team. Yes, the performances against Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich weren't great, but a lot of people were talking about where's the balance, where's the control. We got that today, but suddenly we don't create chances, and it's but it was a terrible performance because we didn't create chances. No. We got the balance and control we were looking for. Now it's about tying all of those other things we've been doing well over the last few weeks. It's about balance. When you talk about a performance, you can't just say, it was completely negative, the world's burning, or it was completely positive, everything's great. You've got to look at both sides. And I think with Ralf Rangnick, we're now seeing some sort of improvement. Hopefully it continues, and hopefully we're able to have balance, we're able to have control, we're able to create chances, we're able to keep a clean sheet, and we're able to dominate games and win. But, it's not going to happen every week, and you've got to take what you can get. And he's only an interim manager, people. I keep saying this. He's only an interim manager. None of these players are his players. How can you expect a driver of a Formula One car to drive in a car he's never driven before? He's not allowed to make any adjustments to the car, and you expect him to finish top 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, I think people have got to allow it with Ralf Rangnick, man. You can't judge him on these 6 months because it's not his team, it's not his players. Very few managers in the world can come into a situation where they have no control over, how the team's been built, and then, like that, change the way the team plays and get results. It's very unrealistic. So I think he was spot on with the analysis of the game. We were very physical, we were very compact, we were great defensively. And I think, honestly, that's what won us the game. I saw someone on Twitter last week saying, why is everyone so obsessed with clean sheets? And I was trying to explain to him that, listen, clean sheets are important because you're not going to score 2 goals, 3 goals every game in the Premier League. You need to keep clean sheets. Yes, not every single game. And I know Manchester United fans come across this spoiled with the way we moan about things. But what we're saying is we need to keep more clean sheets, because today is a fine example of what happens when you play well defensively. There's always an outside chance you get the 3 points. And, imagine if we had conceded today. Imagine if we're sat here going, we conceded from a corner again. We dropped points. We're not in the top 4. We bottled the chance to genuinely get back in. And that didn't happen because we kept a clean sheet. We kept a clean sheet. Yes, Rashford scored the goal, but it all starts with keeping a clean sheet. So, people need to allow it, man. Let Ralf cook. Give him time.
And this is why we get Marcus on the shows, because he always gives a very, very good explanation, and I always wholeheartedly agree with him. Very, very good points. Well made there, mate. Quick question for you here, Ellis. Will Pogba come in and disrupt the hard-working mentality Rangnick has established, or will he make us better? Just to put my 2 pennies in very quickly, and we've spoken about this a few times, Pogba is our most pressing player in the team statistically, in this season at least, and last season there was some stats that came out months ago, and he's arguably our best midfielder. I don't care whether you agree with me or not, that's how I feel. But surely with him coming back, even if it might only be for a few months, is a huge bonus to us.
Yeah, I think anyone will be lying to themselves if you don't think that Pogba unlocks a new dimension to this team. He obviously gives them lots more creativity, lots more of. He's a match winner. He can find the pass when other people can't. He's obviously going to benefit us. To the quote, will Pogba come in and disrupt the hard-working mentality? No. Rangnick's come into the press conference and said that he's been working really hard. Whether that's just to get a contract elsewhere, we don't know. However, he looks, if he's willing to work for it, then I had no problem with Pogba coming into the team. Where is he going to fit in the team? That's a different question.
That's the next question, isn't it? Yeah.
He's going to be like a new signing, right?
Yeah,
going to be like another signing, did you say?
Yeah.
How many times have we heard that before?
But I think if he has because he has an alpha male now, right? Because I think that's where he works best. If he looks up to someone like Zlatan before, but now he's got Ronaldo, and then he's got Ralph, who's no nonsense. So I guess we can get the most out of it, even if it's just the last 6 months.
And real quick, I want to add too, he could potentially, of course, and also Mark, I agree with you said, I think he's one of our better, if not our best midfielder in terms of overall talent. He will add another dimension to the attack. Because one thing that's frustrating me, and I think we can all see, continues to frustrate Ronaldo, is everybody's hesitation in the midfield to play that pass to him over the top when he's trying to make those runs. Pogba's not going to hesitate, and he's going to put that shit on a platter. So he can bring a whole other dimension and play in Ronaldo when he's making those runs.
Absolutely. I'm going to do a quick fire to all of you, and I'm going to start with you first, Hammer. I know this is going to be very difficult to do, and I don't want you to cheat, and I want you to give me one player. Who is your man of the match, Hammer? I'll come to you first.
Damn, that's hard. Oh, damn, I don't want to say this. I'm going to very weirdly go for Maguire, and that hurts my heart to say that.
I don't blame you.
Oh.
Okay, Marcus, yours?
Yeah, this is a tough one. You know, usually it's De Gea, but De Gea was on vacation today.
Isn't that a lovely feeling?
Yeah. Trying to think who had a great performance outside of Maguire. You know, not that I don't want to pick Maguire, but, you know, just checking all my bases before, you know.
I thought Varane was solid. I thought Telles and Dalot need a mention. They were both good going forward. Great to see the high line. I thought Ronaldo actually... I haven't got any criticism for Ronaldo. We've spoken about him a lot recently. I thought he was excellent today, really getting in amongst it. I thought Bruno was excellent.
Yeah. No. Actually, you know what? I'm doing it. Maguire. All those people who say I have a Maguire agenda, I hope you're watching the show. Maguire, I'm doing it. I think it was Maguire. The reason why is because I think he was a lot more impactful than Varane. I think Varane was great, don't get me wrong, but I think he was just that extra bit more impactful. And I think if Maguire doesn't have a good game today, realistically, we probably concede. You know, we probably concede because we all know what happens when one of our centre backs makes a mistake. You know, we always end up getting punished for it.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't give my explanation, but it's along the same lines, right? In the first half, he made those good tackles when they were getting their chances, and in the second half, I was waiting for the mistake, and it didn't come. So he held his own, and he played confident today. Right, like sometimes I think people agree he looks nervous and like he'll sit on the ball and then he gets pressed and some shit happens. That wasn't going on today, so good job.
Absolutely, good points, well made. Jeff, yours, my man.
I almost was gonna say Bruno, but I think Maguire just kind of wins it over by a bit just because he didn't put in a wrong foot today. Like if you were rating him FIFA style, he wouldn't get those minus points going down, right? So, yeah, I mean, surprising. I guess that benching did him good, rested his mentality, and he did very well. He wasted a couple of possessions. Like he could have headed the ball to someone, or he could have kept possession instead of just hitting it out there or outside. But you know, he didn't put in a wrong foot today, and that's very helpful for the defense, especially with our fullbacks very high. So yeah, I guess I'd go with the Hammer and Marcus in this.
As you made that comment about him not putting a foot wrong, Tony said it exactly the same time as you. Man of the match, Maguire didn't put a foot wrong. So there you go. Great minds. All right, Ellis. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Your man of the match, please, mate.
I'm actually not going to go Maguire. I thought Maguire was quality before everyone starts attacking me in the comments, but I'm going to go with Dalot. I've always been a fan of that. I think Dalot was quality today. I think he's been great the last couple of weeks, and I feel like he doesn't get the praise that he deserves, but he certainly does off me. So yeah, I'd go with Dalot for his attacking output and his all-round positioning today.
Yeah, good points, well made. And yeah, I thought he was excellent today as well. And you know what? It's very difficult to give it to anyone. And Harry Maguire was excellent. Dalot, I thought Bruno, playing that deeper role, he's been absolutely phenomenal, and he was excellent today. If you had one man that you wanted to rely on to be here, there, and everywhere, it was him, and he did exactly that. Go on, Hammer.
You know what I'll say real quick on the Bruno point too, I think, and maybe it is him being deeper. He did it a few times, but we didn't see as much of those, like just those quick no-look, trying to play a quick one over the top. It looked like he was more getting the ball, keeping it in his feet, and turning and looking to try to do something and looking for an option. He did do it a couple times, but I understand why. Like Mason was making that run. He just didn't realize that the defender was running in behind him. But yeah, I think he was more disciplined. I don't know if that's the right word.
Deliberate.
Right?
More deliberate, okay. I guess.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, he wasn't off the cuff as much today.
Can I also just say on Diego Dalot, this is a player who a lot of the fan base, I'm not mentioning names, but a lot of the fan base wanted to be sold. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has different opinions. But I think as Manchester United fans, we're too quick to give up on players, especially players who don't get opportunities in the first team. We're so quick to make excuses like,
Lots of people very
maybe
quick to give up on Maguire, and here we are today saying that he was man of the match.
Yeah, okay, but he played though. I'm talking about players who don't get the chance though. Maguire played, so you know what I'm saying. But anyways, The thing about Dalot is he's one of those players that never got a chance, and everyone just assumed he was bad in training. Everyone just assumed, he must be doing something wrong in training. He goes to AC Milan. They seem to kind of like him, but he never really took off, in the way that they thought he would. So he comes back, and then it's kind of like, everyone's against Wan-Bissaka starting, but they don't necessarily rate Dalot. And he's come in and he's locked that spot down. I don't think anybody has any doubt that he deserves to be the starting right back. So I'm really happy for him. And I'm not the biggest fan of Dalot. I was never the biggest fan of Dalot, but I never really wanted us to sell him because, again, I think we just need to give players a chance. We need to see players play 5, 6, 7 games in a row and actually see what they do in the first team. I'm not going to mention a certain Dutch player's name, but we need to give people chances.
Careful, you might open a can of worms there, but you're absolutely spot on. And I think that's exactly it. I mean, Dalot's now had 9 games where he's played, got better and better, and I think it is all about that. You have to build upon your minutes, and he's certainly taken that. Really good point here. I was just going to read out before we're going to wrap up. Dalot, Telles, Elanga, Bruno, Varane were good. But Maguire showed us all we haven't seen in a long time. Credit where credit is due. That's absolutely spot on. Listen, I really hope you've enjoyed our shows this week. It's been an absolutely manic and incredible week that we've really, really enjoyed. And if you haven't seen all the shows, go back. Really, really good stuff this week. We've got Devil's Advocate tomorrow. And that will be on at 7:30 or 8:30. I'm not entirely sure, but keep an eye out and you will find out. But yeah, really great comments today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you
might try to get subscribe. That paella today, Mark.
Yeah, you didn't even talk about the Great Wall of Paella. Right. But there you go. Man. I mean, that's a good thing though. We don't want to be talking about him every game. And he obviously did his job where it was needed. But yeah, fantastic day. Thanks for all the comments, guys. Really, really great conversations. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow night. And we've got some big shows coming up next week. So see you soon.